Welcome back to episode 5 of the 80's VHS Drum Set. I am finally at the point of doing the fun but stressful job of taking all these VHS tape covers off, cutting them, and putting them to the drum shelves that I've been working on for almost a month now. So this week I'm just going to be working on the 8x8 inch power tom, concert tom, so there's no bottom head to them. The first stage is I gotta take wallpaper and cut it to size. Why wallpaper? It's unpasted. I'm not using vinyl wallpaper. It will take water-based glues and glues really well, and it's pretty durable. So I'm gonna be cutting that to size. Then I'm gonna be taking strategic VHS. Now, the 8-inch, I know that I want very strategic VHSs per drum that are going to be predominantly in the front. So I'm going to make sure that Princess Bride, E.T., Empire Strikes Back are very much featured and not covered up by lugs, okay? So I'm going to cut these and possibly up to like 10 to 12 more VHS in this episode. So we have wallpaper as our base level. I'm going to take Mod Podge glue, take all those VHS and strategically put them and glue them to the wallpaper, then let it dry for a couple days. Then I'm going to head over to a print shop near me. They're going to put it through a laminating machine so that it actually has this clear gloss laminate cover on top of it. And then I should be good to go as far as adhering it to the shell. Like I said, this week is all just going to be this 8-inch, and I hope it works. It should work by theory. I've tested it out in bits and pieces, but I have to believe that it's going to look cool, okay? So here we go. The first drum, and by the end of this episode, you will see what it looks like. Ah. So I've picked out which VHSs I'm going to be using on the 8-inch tom. Now we're going to have the most prominent one be E.T., Empire Strikes Back, and Princess Bride. This is going to be in the sweet spot of front and center, basically the face side of it. Everybody else will be kind of staggered up against it. Even the Legal Eagles, Caddyshack, and 48 Hours, I'm just going to cut down to size a little bit so you can see the title, just like how I'm holding my hand. Same thing with Legal Eagles, oops. And the same thing with 48 Hours. Now, there's going to be a lot of runoffs, but there's going to be ones that are pretty prominent, like even the 16 Candles, One Flew of the Cuckoo's Nest, and Running Scared. You're going to see 3/4 of that on the shell. And the same thing with European Vacation, Harry and the Hendersons, and Gremlins. I've already cut the outside of my base level template, which is just unpasted wallpaper. That will be exactly from this start point all the way around and overlap at 1/2 inch, so 25 9/16. So this marker here is showing exactly where E.T. needs to be, kind of dead center, and that will be the starting point, which I can do the others around that. I have to make sure that it's totally set in the right position. If not, it's going to start to get all wonky looking. But so far, so good. My math's working out. And I have also cut out for the interior, which I'm going to be doing, the back covers So right where ET is, inside the shell will be the back of ET. So next things next, I'm gonna start cutting these. Okay, so this is the 16-inch mark where that is going to be the face side of the drum wrap. And I used kind of like a template to see exactly where, if those lines line up perfectly, I can now trace that. And now when I cut the cover, I'll have a good starting point. And then I'll just check it periodically throughout the way to make sure I'm not getting off center. But yeah, okay. Now it's just getting down to cutting. Here we go. All right, so we're going to be doing ET. Again, that's the starting point of the 8-inch, and then everything will be built around that. So first things first, let's cut into this. All right, so I'm going to take that box cutter, and as I have shown, I'm going to just take the top flap off, bend that out. Now I'm going to cut into it. Now I need to make sure that I save these sides, the tops, the backs, because they're all going to be utilized. The tops, this little bend here will be for the bass drum hoop. This will be on the snare drum. This will be inside the shell. And this will be on the face side of the shell. So I want to preserve everything. So let's do that one more swipe. Another one just to make sure. All right, clean through. All right, sadly, that will be no use of me. But if you want to contact me and get these off me, by all means. Maybe I'll make furniture or something out of them. All right, so we fan it out, and that first crease that I need is that one. So let me cut that. And again, just making sure that I use that crease to my advantage. So I'm going to fold that against the edge of my paper cutter. Hold that still. Make sure that's just right. And here we go. Well, I don't know about you. That was terribly exciting. Okay, so, all right, now we're going to get that next fold. Making sure it doesn't move on me. Now, the next one. All right. Now that was a little iffy there, okay? So I need to make sure I cut that off. But there we go. Imagine these, again, staggered up on the shells of the drums. That's going to be awesome. Now again, the top, I want to preserve that. That's going to be useful. And I'm going to put these all in a separate bin so that they're nice and saved. There's that one that I'm going to be using on the snare drum. So let's save that. There we go. So imagine that. Those are going to be on the bass drums, the bass drum inlay. These are going to be on the snare drum. Kind of like what that Salesman Ludwig that's just below there that I'm using. So those are all going to be used. Save those in a separate pile. Make sure I don't miss out on that. Now these back covers, I'm going to be using those for inside the shell. So let's go ahead and get that done and ready. Perfect. Now this one's actually a cleaner, but this has got the barcode. I don't want to show that on the drum. But let's get this going. Perfect. So there you go. Now I got to get rid of that price tag, and that will be inside the shell.
So here we go with Gremlins, which I debated putting on the drum. I wasn't personally a fan of Gremlins, but it is iconic. It is very 80s. We all know Gizmo, and I forget what the burnt looking gremlin looked like or what his name was, but oh, it was terrible. Very haunting. I just remember there was one scene with a blender, and I was never the same after that. All right, so next on there is 48 Hours. Again, a movie I saw a little older. I don't think I was ready for it when it came out, but eventually I loved it. And again, Eddie Murphy, one of the Eddie Murphy movies that are going to be very prominent on the drum set is coming to America. Empire Strikes Back. Now, this has a unique cover. I got to cut it two ways here. Now, why Empire and not the original Star Wars? The original Star Wars I'll probably feature on the bass drum. I might even put, I am definitely going to put Return of the Jedi somewhere, but I might put that maybe on the 14 or the 15-inch tom. So Empire's done. Scary, scary. Okay, Henry and the Hendersons. Even though it's 70s era, one of my favorite movies is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Okay, so Legal Eagles. I liked this movie. Robert Redford, Daryl Hannah, Deborah Winger. Go, 16 Candles. This is a pristine copy. Unwrapped. All right, last one. Running Scared. Billy Crystal, Gregory Hines. There's the first step of the assembly line. Woo!
So far, so good as far as cutting them all. I only have a few more to cut, and I think I solved an issue using the bigger clamshell VHSs for the ends because I need to have something big enough to cut the end off to then put on the other side. Only a few more cuts to go. But once that runs through the laminating machine, then I'll be able to fold it and wrap it around the drum shell. All right, looks like the 8-inch outside wrap is all dry. Now I've been using memory locks to hold it down while it glues. Let's see how this worked out. Like I said, I think it's all dry. It's been about 12 hours. So that is going to be on the outside. Now I'm hoping that Robin Hood meets around perfectly. It might be like an eighth of an inch overlap or off. But yeah, so now I need to get that all laminated so it kind of self levels. Okay, I'm going to be doing the inside wrap now. And I just have to remind myself that everything is flowing backwards now. So yeah, what was once 16 candles on this side of ET, it's technically gonna be on the other side. So yeah, I'm gonna be gluing these down, and hopefully that will dry by tomorrow. And then tomorrow I will have the outside and the inside all wrapped up. This has been drying overnight. This is the outside shell as well as the bottom shell. I put some plexiglass over it and some weights, as you can see, to just weigh it down flat while it's curing. And now I'm going to be taking it to the laminator to laminate that. And then there's the inside, which is the back covers. You can see the wallpaper. So we shall see how that turns out. The lamination worked beautifully. Yeah, there's a little bit of gloss to it. And yeah, looks great. It self levels. So like there was moments, especially here between Empire Strikes Back and Harry and the Hendersons and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, that there's a little bit of gap, but it kind of it doesn't kind of, it self levels. So that came out beautiful. And so did the back cover. And that's in a high gloss 3mm laminating. And yeah, great. Next stage is putting it on. There's the mounts. There's the 8-inch, the 15, and then there should be a pack here.
So that concludes the first complete drum of the 80s VHS kit, okay? It came out really good. There's things that came out better than expected. There's things that I'm going to try to do a little differently going forward. But the positives are, look at how clean that laminate looks over the VHS and the interply of wallpaper, VHS, and then laminate. That came out smoother than I could have expected. The inside looks great as well. It's hard to see. No, it's pretty good. I'm kind of disappointed with the fact that as much as my measuring, one of the lugs is covering over Jack Nicholson's face. All right. But E.T. is the most prominent one. Got 16 candles. Again, a lug is covering over European Vacation. I purposely did it over the crease or overlap of the wrap. Things that I will do differently going forward. Even with this, I'm going to take the head off of this one in the near future and just clean up the edges a little bit. I don't like that you could see the weight of the cardboard stock, so I'll just take a fine Sharpie and just clean that up with a little black highlighter kind of effect. But other than that, it sounds really good. I haven't fully played it. I've tuned it up, and I'm going to stretch it a little bit. The other thing that I'm kind of worried about is there's a little bit of laminated issues here with the tom mount, and I'm wondering why that happened. So I'm going to actually, before I do the next three, and that's the thing, is now that I've done one, which was the hardest one, the 8-inch, I'll be able to do it now in 3 sets. So the next video will actually be me doing the 10, 12, and 14, the remaining of the high toms. And then the next one will be the remaining floor toms, and then finally the bass drum, and actually then the snare drum as a completed. So about 4 more videos to get the thing complete. Might be 5. But yeah, I'm going to have to figure out why that's bunching up the laminate there, because I don't want that to spread. So going forward, I need to figure out why that's happening. But like I said, looks great. Okay, so totally the vision realized. The glue is adhering pretty well. I don't feel any bubbling. So the Mod Podge worked great. Okay, so that is the end of this one. Not that I don't have a few more things to fix, but looks great. I'll see you on the next episode where I will do the remaining toms, okay? The hanging toms. So this is the 8, I'll have the 10, the 12, and the 14 in the next video. All right, enjoy.